Ignore all that mess back here.
Yo, what's going on back there? What's going on back there? Who's over there?
Hard times, my friends.
Welcome to episode 3, Wham Sports Life Podcast. Another special occasion because for the first time, got one of my really great friends. Thanks to him, he's one of the reasons I'm out the gutter. So I appreciate you, Mr. Ramirez, Johan, Joe Jeezy, Johan Rated R.
Johan.
Welcome to the Wham Sports Life Podcast, man.
Man, I'm so blessed to be here, bro. Thank you for having me. You too, Victor.
Glad to have you on, man.
Of course, man. It's been a long time coming. You know, I did reach out to you probably maybe 2-3 months ago, I think, and just kind of gave you the heads up, like, yo, got this cooking. Let me know if you're down. And obviously, you and I, man, we have so many memories just like watching sports, attending games, whether it be, Clásicos, Barca, Real Madrid, me and you really, talking smack to each other in different group chats, from, Facebook days to MySpace days to the Twitter to the, the absolute days, chilling at your mom's, eating some tacos, talking smack, watching Super Bowls, 1800 boys. I mean, you pretty much took me in. And, but before we dive into you, Victor, please, man, take the floor. Man, how you doing? How's everything been this week? How you feeling? I see you got that Barca kit looking good.
Yeah. It's been a very long week. We're trying to get to the Saturday match at the Bank of America Stadium, so the anticipation's building. Oh, come on now, put that away.
We know who's gonna take it. You're outnumbered today, sir. You're outnumbered.
Yeah, I am. I know. I feel a little cornered in, but no, just excited to be on here and looking forward to this weekend. Hopefully, it's a fun match, interesting match, and hey, I'm a Charlotte fan, so I'm hoping we get out of the gutter and we are desperately looking for those 3 points, because if we start 0-3 again, it's going to be really bad. A long drive back to South Carolina, I'll tell you that.
Wait, I have a question. What do you mean again? Has this happened before?
We're only 2 years old in MLS, but it happened last season too. We lost 0-3 to DC, and then we lost our home opener, and it was a really rough start last season.
I had no idea, Vic.
Trying to avoid that again.
Yeah. But the good news is, Johan, they actually play Orlando next. So look, maybe you don't get it against Atlanta. No, I'll be respectful though. I know it's going to be an intense match. I'm hoping we take it, obviously, but if things don't go your way and things go my way, hopefully, Orlando, it's right there, man. Take care of Orlando for us. We'll be very happy. We can agree on something. Am I right?
Yeah, we lost to Orlando last season too at home. Another unbelievable game that we lost, but I won't get into all that. But yeah.
Well, Johan, dude, when did we meet? When was it? I always think back to 2009. Do you remember the first time you and I met? No pressure, but do you recall what's the earliest memory you have of you and I being I don't know, interacting or whatnot?
Yeah, honestly, I've asked myself this question a whole bunch of times, and I can't really think back to that very first moment, but the very first moment I can remember, obviously I already knew who you were, and I remember reaching out because we were in super need of some editing, somebody that could just come in and just kill a flyer for us. This was back in the clubbing days, promoting days, and I was like, wait, I think I know this guy, man. His name's Edgar, and he's just super sick, bro. And I just reached out, and you just happened to reply, and we just, the rest is history, bro. But again, this was back in 2010, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know why. 2009 kind of rings a bell, but it might be 2010. Was it red carpet lanes?
Yes, sir. Off of Satellite Boulevard.
I'm taking it back there, which is now I Love Bowling. It's not called I Love Bowling, that building.
Yep, you got it.
I think I'm taking you there. The fake Eiffel Tower?
I think so. You take me many places in many places in Atlanta.
That's right. So we started, we started hanging out after that, and then, Absolute started, and I'm assuming, I remember Pedro hit me up or you hit me up, or I don't know how it was, but I remember we both showed up to that first meeting, and I'm the designer. Johan, I mean, he knows everybody, so we need him. Obviously, you were the connector from all the counties in Metro Atlanta. Let's be honest, man. You were running things on MySpace. You were the perfect piece to start getting people in the door. And I remember, we started playing. I mean, we started playing soccer at Corley, right? That's kind of one of when it comes to sports, I think, we did the nightclub thing, and we learned a lot about business and social media, and basically that was our college. When we're doing the nightlife days, shout out to the original Absolute Squad, to Juju, Pedro, Diego, you and I, Stevie was in there, of course. I mean, Corey came in as well, and a lot of people that were supportive, and anybody that went to Posh or any of these venues, it was a good time. I think it was a great time back then, and obviously we figured out like, oh man, he's a Madrid fan, so like, that was the only thing I was like, man, I don't know about Johan, man. Nah, I'm just kidding. But we could all relate to Atlanta sports, right, and Mexico, because we would link up for those matches, and it was always a good time. So, Johan, I kind of want to dive a little bit into you. What would you say is your earliest sports memory? Like just playing anything, like, I don't know, as a kid, anything that you can recall from the beginning of time when it came to like sports.
I think the earliest moment I can remember was when I was about, I think, 4 or 5 years old, and this was at the academy, which is down the street from where I grew up on Beaver Ruin in Norcross, well, technically Lilburn. And my dad just happened to sign me up for soccer, and at first I was like, I liked it, but I wasn't trying to play. And he just kind of like threw me in there. And I remember just stepping on the field. I didn't even have like soccer shoes or anything. And it was a bunch of random kids, and it was an indoor field. And I was just completely lost. But after that one game, I just remember just like telling him, man, I got to come back. I want to come back. I want to come back ready. And he took me to the store, bought me some indoor cleats. I came with the uniform ready the very next game. And yeah, pretty much I grew up playing soccer with a lot of my cousins, my male cousins. I even had some female cousins I grew up playing in, women's leagues. And we just had a really close soccer family. We all played growing up. And it's one of those things where when I got into high school, I kind of stopped watching it. But as soon as I got around, 18, 19 again, I started, kind of diving back into it. But yeah, man, the first memory was, like I said, when I was about 4 or 5 years old, and, he just threw me into indoor soccer, bro. And then the rest is just history.
Did you only stick to soccer? Did you ever, like, I don't know, mess around with like basketball or any other sports or anything like that?
Yeah, the other sport I mess around with, besides soccer, believe it or not, my next favorite sport growing up was basketball. I was a huge basketball fan, specifically Kobe Bryant and the Lakers. I mean, I always watched the Hawks, but Kobe just had me just watching every Lakers game. And, same thing with my dad. I told him I want to, just try playing basketball. So he found this random league. I don't even know where it was at. And he just threw me into this league, and I probably lasted 2 weeks into it. I didn't last very much, but, I just want to try it out and see how it felt to just kind of just be in a basketball league. Like I said, I didn't know much about playing, but I just wanted to just go for it. Besides that, I never played in a baseball league or football league, although I wanted to. I just never had the opportunity.
You mentioned soccer. What about baseball? I know you're a big Atlanta Braves fan. Did you ever dabble into baseball when you were young? Did you ever have any interest in that?
I wish I did, Victor. I did have interest. I just never really went for it. All my extra time was always about soccer. Like I said, I played basketball for a little bit, but I never got the chance to play baseball. I wish I would have, though, because I feel like the few times that I played it, I was pretty decent at hitting the ball. It was just catching the ball that I kind of struggled with. But I feel like if I would have came in at a young age and just kind of practice and just, put some time into it, I feel like I could have got pretty good. But yeah, watching baseball and playing it, that's another story.
All right, before we dive into your favorite sports teams, can you maybe tell us just a little bit of how you ended up where you are right now at this very moment? Maybe where you were born, kind of that timeline, real quick, brief timeline of, where you were born, where you've been raised, anything that you can share with us, anything you'd like to share with us.
Oh, of course, man. I'm here to share it all, man. This is why I'm here. Just to keep it real short and simple. I was born in Atlanta in Grady Hospital in the center of Atlanta, the heart of Atlanta. From what I remember, I lived in the city until I was about 3 years old. And this is just from the stories that my family just tells me. We lived in Trailer Park. And I don't know who moved to Gwinnett County into Norcross. And pretty much we all moved there. We all followed one after the other. And I lived there for about 22 years. In the same neighborhood, and after that, I pretty much ended up, me and Ashley, we ended up moving to, I think we moved to Buford, off of Buford Highway first, went to Swanee, and now I'm in Lawrenceville. So this is where I'm at. Family's originally from Mexico, from Acapulco, Guerrero. My mom's side still, most of them are still over there, but pretty much all of my dad's side's here in Atlanta now.
So is both your parents from Acapulco?
Yes, both parents, mom and dad. They actually grew up not too far from each other in Acapulco. Like they knew each other growing up as kids.
Johan, tell us your favorite teams, favorite sports teams. You could talk about favorite players, just an overall list. We don't have to kind of get into it. We'll go one by one, but just kind of like an overall, top 5 favorite teams, no specific order. And we can even throw top 5 favorite athletes. And I know you mentioned Kobe Bryant already, but maybe just a quick little blurb about each of them, whatever you want to say.
Yeah, so I'm going to start with top 5 favorite teams. I mean, I was born and raised here, so, I'm going to have to go with the Braves, Hawks, the Falcons, United. When it comes to college, I'm not, crazy about it, but I will support them. Honestly, it can literally be anywhere from the Georgia Bulldogs to freaking Kennesaw State playing. As long as it's somebody, that I know, somebody from my region where I'm from, I'll literally just root for you. Like, it could be Bergman High School for all I care, So, yeah, just pretty much like I said, those pro teams. Like I said, when it comes to college, I'll when Georgia plays, I'm a Georgia fan. When Georgia Tech plays, I'm a Tech fan. I know people find that to be crazy, but it's just it is what it is, man. I support anything Georgia related.
So Georgia Southern.
Yeah, it could be Georgia Southern, could be Valdosta. There's times where I go on ESPN Plus and there's times where I go into ESPN Plus and I literally see Kennesaw State playing and I'll literally just sit there and just watch them play. I mean, I don't really care who it is. But when it goes to pro, then I'm a diehard Falcons, Braves, Hawks, and United. I could honestly say that I keep up with them season after season as much as I can.
What about when it comes to the European clubs, right? There's this European club that you're a big fan of, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And I know you also support Atlanta United, the Atlanta Braves, obviously with your background there, and then La Selección Mexicana. What about player-wise? Any athletes you follow specifically, or are you more on the team side of things?
Yeah, I would say team size. Like I said, besides the teams I already mentioned, you said it yourself. You didn't want to say the name, but that's my other team right there.
El más grande, ¿no? That's crazy. El más grande. I'm just joking.
They are Los Reyes de Europa. I mean, whatever you want to call them.
You gotta give it to him, man. Let's go.
Yeah,
I know Edgar doesn't like it, but facts are facts. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, and shoot, I mean, even before I met you, Victor, with your boy Edgar, me and him, we used to go at it, talking trash all the time. But as I gotten older, I've learned to, accept things, appreciate the other side. Before
Should have met this guy in 2005 on MySpace. He was a monster.
Yeah, I used to hate Barca, and don't get me wrong, I still dislike him, but I can honestly say I don't hate them anymore. So I give props when it's due. whether it's the players or the coach or the team. You know, I'm always like, you know what, I give it to them. You know, but yeah, Real Madrid, bro, that's my other team. That was honestly the first. Well, growing up, I grew up a big Pumista. As I got into my teenage years, I kind of stopped watching La Liga MX. I hate to say it, but you know, especially me being Mexican, I should have kept going, but I just stopped. And it wasn't until 2009 where you know, Madrid had that crazy transfer window where they brought Kaká, Ronaldo, Xabi Alonso, and Benzema, and I was like, damn, like, you know, I wasn't watching soccer every week in, week out, but when I saw that transfer window, I was like, damn, like, what's going on here? So I just started watching them. And yeah, you know, I just kind of like fell in love with like the game, with the team. That's back when they had that Chileno coach. He's actually the coach for he's in La Liga right now. I don't know if you know who I'm talking about. I think he's with like Betis, if I'm not mistaken. Pellegrini, there you go. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you know, he was a coach at the time, and he had a horrible season. It was such a great squad. I think Olympic Lyon knocked us out of the Champions League. In La Liga, they got murdered. Copa del Rey didn't do crap. And, you know, they fired him, and that's when they brought Mourinho the next season.
Special one.
Yeah, the special one. Then this guy came in with an attitude, bro. This guy turned and Ramos into the red car machines. They were just kicking everybody. But I loved it, man. I was like, yo, these guys, they don't care, bro. Like, they're laying out their heart every freaking game. But, you know, and I remember, dude, Madrid was getting rocked every Clásico. And I know you guys remember. It was 2009-2010 season. They were in Camp Nou. They got the famous 5-0, bro.
5-0, magical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's when Piqué has that famous shot where he's like holding up the 5. And I was like, yeah, and I will never forget it, bro. It was, I watched it with a few friends from high school. And it was like 10 guys in the room. And it was just me and my other friend. We were the only Real Madrid fans. And there was like 8 Barca fans. And we were just getting trashed. I was like, man.
The good old days.
Bro, that was embarrassing. But
I'm back.
Yeah, but somehow Mourinho did not get fired. And it wasn't until the Copa del Rey final where he had his first victory over Barca. And I was like, I feel like that's what broke the spell, because we were getting rocked, bro, every game. And that's, you know, that, again, that famous final, it was in Valencia Stadium. And that's when Gareth Bale did that famous goal where he just, I think it was where he was one-on-one with Bartra. And, you know, he hit the game winner in OT.
Annihilated him. Oof. Wow.
Yeah, and, you know, it was actually on 4/20, 2011. And, yeah, that's what broke the spell. Ever since then, you know, Barca got a few, Madrid got a few, or they had a few ties. But it wasn't until Mourinho came in and kind of changed it, bro.
So was 2009 really like the first season you really went for Madrid? Like before then, you said you didn't really keep up with soccer at the time. That was kind of like the first time you really got in.
No, well, I've always watched it, but I could honestly say I didn't have a team, you know. Like, I wouldn't wake up Saturday morning like, oh, I can't wait till this team plays at this time. I would just watch soccer, whether it would be the German league, Bundesliga, you know, the Premier League, La Liga, or Liga MX. I would just watch soccer. But, yeah, like I said, it wasn't until 2009 where I was like, you know what? Like, I just got, like, pulled into it, and, you know, I can't help it. I couldn't help it. I just got dragged into it.
What would you say is your favorite Real Madrid memory?
Oof, I would say, yeah, there's a lot of good ones, but to me, it was when they won La Décima, 2014, and you know, bro, it was like the dying moments, and Modric hit that corner, and Ramos just hit that header and tied the game at like the 94th minute, and it went into overtime. And that's when you know, all hell broke loose. I believe I think Gareth Bale got a goal, Ronaldo got a penalty, took off his shirt, celebrated like he just hit the game winner. I forgot who hit the 4th one, but yeah, I think it was Marcelo. And yeah, that was my favorite moment because I was getting heartbroken every year in the Champions League, and it wasn't until that year where they just broke through and just won the Champions League, and I was like, so this is what it feels like to be a Champions League winner.
After that, I mean, Real Madrid has really been like no one's really been able to stop them. I think it's frustrating, you know, as a Barca fan, you know, depending on Messi, and then to me, it's more about the people upstairs making all the decisions. We're not having that consistency with the starting 11, you know, year in, year out. You know, you look at Real Madrid, they've always had Modric, they've always had Cruz, they've always had Carvajal. You know, they're very consistent with the players they have. And now, I mean, they already have Rodrigo, they have, you know, Vinicius. Did I say that right?
Yeah, Vinicius.
Vinicius, yeah.
They have Vinicius. They have Vinicius. And, you know, Barca, you know, they're just now kind of picking up the pieces with Xavi,
Xavi.
But it's like they're starting kind of late in the game. You know, had we started earlier, you know, had we been doing the same things that Madrid had been doing, I think we would be in a better position. But there's so much corruption or so many things going on behind the scenes that nobody really knows about. I'm assuming that, yeah, I mean, it's through the floor right now. And it's frustrating because Real Madrid, every year, they're just always fighting in the Champions League. And I think nothing pissed me more off than last year, right? Where every time Madrid looked like they were out of it, right back in it once again. And, you know, can you tell me about kind of living those? Because, right, when it comes to, like, watching any type of sport, it's always pretty epic, right? Where your team is down, right? And then, like, last minutes, they come back.
That's the greatest feeling ever.
When you're on that side of things, you got to be on that side pretty much all through that Champions League. Can you kind of tell me, like, how you were experiencing these matches?
Yeah, man. I mean, you said it yourself, and Victor said it's the best feeling ever when your team is down and they just happen to find a way and break through. But I don't know what it is about that team and that specifically that tournament that I don't care how bad they're doing or how good they're doing. They find a way to tie at the last minute and, you know, win. And I hope I don't jinx them. I hope we don't get eliminated. I hope Liverpool doesn't come back and score 4 goals at the Bernabeu next week. But like I said, it's one of those feelings, man. And
they destroyed Man U 7-0. I don't think they can get to Real Madrid, though. I don't think they can do that here.
Bro, I mean, no. Crazier things has happened. But yeah, and how Edgar earlier asked about my favorite moment, the close second was last year. I feel like last year specifically was one of the greatest like Champions League runs I've ever witnessed from any team period, because they were down versus PSG and they came back. They were down versus Chelsea, they came back. They were down versus Man City, they came back. And then they just happened to, you know, get that 1-0 victory over Liverpool. But the way they came back on top, like 3 elite clubs back to back to back, just, I thought they were going to get eliminated each time. And somehow they found a way each time. From the round of 16 to the quarterfinals to the semifinals, I was like, what is going on? Like, it was insane, bro. And yeah, it's one of those moments. I mean, you feel like you're about to get eliminated, and you just happen to just witness a comeback, and you're like, wow, like, you know, we survived on to the next round. And it's beautiful, man. There's no better feeling.
So how did the Real Madrid tattoo, the famous Real Madrid tattoo, like, how, can you tell us how that happened? Like, when did that hit your mind? Like, what was the process? Like, you know, was it a dark night? You know, what happened? Can you kind of break that down to us? Because I don't think I've heard the full story, and I think it's and here's, by the way, folks, here is a picture of that tattoo. And I mean, I don't know, are you wearing shorts? Like, do you want to show it off on the camera, or like, ooh, what's possible here?
Now we're still sweatpants, but I'm gonna take a picture after and I'm gonna send it to you, and you could just, you know, put it right here, like in this little general area. Just stick it in there real quick.
Yeah, they're looking at it. They've been looking at it the whole time. So we're going to leave it here. Sorry, we're going to leave this picture here as you tell us about the story. So continue.
There you go.
Ramirez.
Yeah, it was actually, I don't remember what day of the week. I just knew it was the year after 2009. So I think it was like 2010 or 2011 season. And at the time, I had a friend that lived here. He was a tattoo artist. His name is John, Colombian dude. And he's, honestly an amazing tattoo artist. He lives in Miami now. So I was thankful to, I got 2 or 3 pieces from him before he left. So the first time I found out he was, getting into the tat game, I was like, I got something I want you to tat. And he asked me what it was, and I told him, and he was like, bro, are you serious? He was like, you're going to get a sports team on you? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I don't know what it was, bro. I couldn't describe it. I'm like, I have to do it. Like, and he knew me. It's not like, oh, he's just a guy just getting a tattoo. Not like he was like, yo, this guy watches every game. Like, he always knows who's injured, who's out, who they played the following week. Like, and then, he, it was like a 3-hour process around there. I was with my sister, Crystal. She got a tattoo the same day. So we both walked in, and then we both walked out with fresh tattoos. And, I just happened to get the Real Madrid tattoo. And how Edgar said, it's one of those moments where it kind of like, it's like a staple in my life. Anytime I would wear shorts and I would just go to the local grocery store, to the gas station, people would be like, either one or the other. You either get a negative, like, he's got Barca, please, or you get like the, yeah, I love Madrid. But yeah, man, it's actually due for a touch up, I need to revive it a little bit, but it's still there, man. It's still visible. It still looks good. Every United game, I like to wear shorts so I can show it off. But yeah, it's
yeah. You did wear shorts. You did wear shorts on Saturdays, so that's the real reason.
You had a front row seat to it.
I remember when I saw the picture when you sent it to us, or somehow I saw the picture. It was great. And one day I'm gonna get a Charlotte FC tattoo or something on me one day. So definitely want to do that. I did want to ask you, being a Real Madrid fan, is there maybe, can you give me top 3, top 4 players in your opinion, since you've been watching and maybe throughout history, but at least since you've been a fan?
Yeah, of course. It's very hard because just like, these top elite clubs, I mean, there's legendary players season after season. But in my opinion, from the ones I've actually witnessed, I would have to say number 1 is Cristiano Ronaldo. Number 1 due to this guy actually had more goals than games played for Real Madrid, and that to me is like an outrageous number. Like, it's hard to, I don't care who you play for, it's hard to have more goals than games played. I mean, it's literally almost impossible. You know what I mean? Again, this guy scored some brilliant goals. He's a little bit cocky, yes. I didn't like that too much, but I do like how he was just always on the score sheet game after game. After that, I would say it's Iker Casillas, man. I grew up loving this guy. I feel like he's very underrated, as in top players for the club. This guy played so many years. Most people don't know his debut for the team was actually in the Champions League final. I believe it was the 2000 final versus I'm not sure if it was Leverkusen or. You're going to have to correct me on this one, but it was in the Champions League final. Our starting goalkeeper got injured. Dude came off the bench, and he actually came up with a few saves that saved the team, and they actually lifted the title that year. And it was 2002, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, man, Casillas, he was that guy for me. He was so clutch, and even as an older player, as an older goalie, and you guys know, you could be 40 years old playing goalie. But this guy was, man, he gave it all every game, man. I love watching Casillas play. I miss him every single game. I wish we still had him. And number 3, I would have to say Sergio Ramos, bro. He was an amazing defender for Real Madrid, but at the same time, he was very good in attacking. He was a very good penalty taker. He took a few free kicks. He was, he made a few free kicks. I remember he reminded me a lot of Rafa Marquez with the free kicks.
Oh, that's my favorite player.
Header, man. Every time we had a free kick or a corner, he would always go up. And anytime I would see him in the box, I'm like, man, there's a good chance this guy's going to get a goal. So, Ramos, man, I hate the way he left the club. I wish he would have retired there. But yeah, I would have to say Ronaldo, Casillas, and then Ramos. And those are players that me, myself, has witnessed,
Mm-hmm. And just to touch up on this, you were right. Iker Casillas did debut in the 2000 final. It was against Valencia. They won 3-0, and he had number 27 on. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you were right.
Yeah, and that was his debut. And like I said, I've actually watched that. I go on YouTube probably once every 3 months just to look at that clip of him debuting. And it's one of those like moments I'm like, damn, like this guy came off the bench at such a young age in the Champions League final, and he just stepped up and he probably had like 3-4 saves that were just like, again, nothing out of this world, but they were to the point where they could have been goals, and he kept them out, and they won the title. And he was probably, I don't know, you're gonna have to look that one up, but he looked like he was like 19 or 20. I need to get a Casillas jersey.
Oh, yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, I need to go on eBay for that one though.
If anyone's trying to give Johan a birthday present, get this man a Casillas jersey, specifically the Porto one. Thank you.
Ooh, all right. Hey, I'll take it, bro. I'll take it.
That's good.
Honestly, I was kind of salty at myself for never buying the Chicharito jersey when he went to Real Madrid. I'm like, I told myself, if a Mexican player was to ever go there, I was going to buy the jersey, and I never jumped on it.
You still can, but before we jump into Atlanta sports, because we've been on Madrid for quite a minute, but I know that's a team that I know you for. Like, that's a team you and I battle about. So that's why I kind of want to dive into these questions. It's pretty interesting, hearing your background and how you fell in love with the team. But when Chicharito came to Real Madrid, I mean, was that like a fever dream for you? I mean, like, what was that feeling when you just like out of nowhere, you like Chicharito? Like the Spanish press, some of them were talking smack, but I mean, I was quite excited. I'm Mexican. I was excited.
We're all excited for that one.
But I'm a Barca fan, obviously. Hey, mis respetos, pero, Barca. Pero please tell me your Chicharito Real Madrid experience for one season.
Bro, I mean, I don't know why they didn't re-sign him. This guy was pretty clutch, man. His debut, he actually scored 2 golazos. I don't remember who it was against, but it was an away game, and there were 2 golazos. And I was like, this guy just literally debuted and just comes off the bench and scores 2. I feel like he was overlooked a lot because of him being Mexican. I hate to say that, but usually in España, they don't really give him the respect that they should give him. So one of the players I actually admire for having a really good connection was Chicharito was James Rodriguez, el colombiano. This guy would always pass the ball and find him open and create chances to Chicharito, man. But I wish I would have re-signed him. This guy even scored in the quarters finals versus Atletico Madrid, and he's a guy that I think it was a pass from Ronaldo. He eliminated Atletico Madrid, and they made it to the semifinals, but they couldn't go past that. My dream was to watch Chicharito win a Champions League, title with Madrid. That would have been epic right there. But, unfortunately, it came to an end. He should have re-signed, though, because he had a pretty great season.
That's true about, Mexicans in Europe. And I think it goes back to the corruption in the Liga MX where, once again, clubs favor more foreign players, right? Because they want to win right now as opposed to raising, the young players to be able to do something that the U.S. is doing now, right? I mean, the United States. Yeah. I mean, it's up there hundreds of players in Europe now compared to Mexico. And
you don't even have 20, 30 players in Europe?
Yeah, I saw that list the other day of how many players we have versus U.S. in Europe, and we are outnumbered, bro.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that goes all the way up to the top, man. The people running the show, the people counting the checks. I mean, it's really up to those owners.
Say the name, Edgar. Say it. In Mexico, it's okay.
Basically, any owner. I mean, any owner.
Who's the biggest owner? Come on. It's okay.
I mean, are we gonna talk about what the owner of Televisa? Or is that what you're referring to?
I mean, he also owns half of Univision, so.
I mean, it's a little bit of everybody. I mean, the owner of Atlas and Santos, the Azteca people. It's a whole circus over there.
And they want to sell the Mexican players for 10, 15, 20 million. when they rather just go to South America and buy a player for $2 million and then they go to Europe. I get it. A foreign club won't. It's not. They wouldn't want to make that investment on a Mexican. With $15 million, I can get 2 or 3 players from South America and they'll kill it. So it's a lot of money. There's a lot of corruption in Liga MX and nothing's done about it. And then look what happens in the World Cup. We'll get into that in a little bit, but
all right, man. Well, look, enough of the pressing situation of the Selección Mexicana. I mean, we'll definitely circle back around that, but let's get into some Atlanta sports, man. Atlanta Falcons. We know, we ride out. You and I, we've had some memories at the Dome. Can you kind of tell us about Falcons, your relationship with the Falcons, how you feeling about them, anything that you remember from the past, anything that you're feeling about them in the future? I mean, right now the hot topic is Lamar Jackson, right, that we felt like he could have possibly game, but apparently the Falcons have told the media that they're not interested. Anything in regards to you and your relationship with the Atlanta Falcons?
Well, yeah, I love them no matter what, man. I don't care. They could go 0-16 or 0-17 now with this new format. I'm still going to love them no matter what. I'm still going to watch them every year, every game. Yeah, it's been kind of rough these last few years, especially after the Super Bowl. But, yeah, I don't care what happens. I'm still going to stick by them. With the whole Lamar Jackson thing, it would have been really cool to see him in that red and black. But either way, man, I have faith in the front office. It's still early, man. Season doesn't kick off to September. I know they're going to do something, whether they're sticking with Ritter or they go with somebody else. I have faith. We've seen better days, but, again, you could only stay down for so long and eventually got to come back up again. With London at receiver, Pitts at tight end, we have a very good attacking. Honestly, I think it's a little bit more on the defense side. I feel like we need to keep the opposite team to minimal points. Usually every game, we could put up 30 points easy, but guess what? The other team always puts up 30, 34, 35, 40 points. So it's really on the defensive side. We let go of our veteran QB that we had for a year, Mariota. I appreciate him doing what he did, but he wasn't clutch when he needed to be. So yeah, I'm excited for the season coming up. I'm excited to see what they're going to draft. But yeah, I have high hopes, man. I know people don't have high hopes with the Falcons, but I do. I hope we at least make it to the playoffs. And once you're in the playoffs, you could be last place for all I care. As long as you're in there, anything can happen.
Better times coming for sure. Do you have a favorite memory with the ATL Falcons? Anything?
Yeah, I would say it would be that game specifically where Julio caught 300, Matt Ryan threw for 500. I believe that was the year before the Super Bowl, or it was either the year before or around there. But yeah, that whole Matt Ryan Julio connection was like no other, man. I'm missing Julio Jones. I hate to see him, going to Tampa Bay to a division rival, but he did a lot for Atlanta. This guy was my favorite receiver of all. Like, I could honestly say he's probably my favorite receiver of all time. Watching him was, this guy made cornerback safeties look like little kids, bro. His speed, his strength, his catching ability, he was like no other. Like I said, Matt Ryan, he, I miss him, but, unfortunately he got older. You can't stay young forever. But yeah, I'm just waiting for that new QB, man, to just step it up. And, I'm hoping we have a QB that stays here for about 10, 15 years and just runs it, bro.
Yeah, I like Desmond Ritter, his potential there. I'm gonna trust the front office. I like the new people that are running things right now. I don't mind Arthur Smith, and another player I really like is even Cordell Patterson. He's had like a second coming, right? Over here with the Falcons, it's like, I'm always trying to pick him up in fantasy, to be honest, like to see what happens in those late rounds, which brings me to the next subject. Vic, I know you don't play fantasy football, man. I've been trying to convince you. But
every season,
yeah, Johan and I, we played in 2 leagues together most of the time. So, Johan, how do you feel about fantasy football and anyone that's trying to make the leap of faith? I mean, can you convince Victor to make the jump, or like how do you feel about it? Just the league that I commissioned in and the ones that I've invited you to, like, just how do you feel about fantasy football overall? How'd you do this season? And just anything you would like to add about that.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I love it. I was that guy that would watch football every week, and I never even thought about playing fantasy football. And then one year, Edgar was like, "Hey, man, why don't you play fantasy football?" And I was like, "I really don't know." And he was like, "Yeah, we got this league. You should join." I found out it was a few of my friends, a few of my cousins. So I'm like, all right, I gave it a try. And ever since then, dude, I got hooked. And yeah, like Edgar said, we play in 2 leagues together. But my favorite league is our league, the XFL. That's the OG league. Every year is competitive. I mean, anything can happen. And yeah, it got to the point where my first 2 seasons, I never made it to the playoffs. And it's been an improvement every year. And it wasn't until this past year I made it all the way to my first final. Unfortunately, I lost in the final. I thought I was going to win it, honestly speaking. I had Justin Jefferson. The guy was putting up crazy numbers game after game. And yeah, he let me down along with my whole team. But I ended up in second place. But next year, I'm definitely coming for that first place. I feel like I have a better understanding of the game. You have to know when to drop players. You have to know when to, you have to know how to draft specifically. That's a very key part. Along with Cordell Patterson, he was my go-to late guy. Guys saved me until he got on the IR for a few weeks. But, Victor, you need to definitely join us this upcoming season. You won't regret it, man. Especially you, man. You already, you're familiar with the game. Just give it a try. You're not gonna regret it, man. Worst,
I'll join.
What's that gonna happen?
I'll join. I finally rejoined the Quiniela Liga MX one we have going after many years of Edgar constantly asking me. I'm like, I'll come back, and I'm doing all right in there.
You were a champion. Yeah, Victor is a champion in the Quiniela MX, which I've never been a champion, and we've been playing for like 14 seasons. So, and obviously I know, John, you don't follow Liga MX, but, whenever you're ready, man, even for fun, maybe this could be a reintroduction later on in the future. But, yeah, fantasy football, yeah, I can't lie to you. I play in about 5 to 6 leagues a season. So, I mean, this is in my blood. I just enjoy it. I like the interaction, we put some money up, the opportunity of, like, just every Sunday, just, like, checking your phone, like, oh man, like, sometimes I get scared of even like looking at it. I don't know, like, there's different kinds of fantasy football players, but like, I'm like, nah, I don't want to look. Let me check like a little bit later. Let me eat first or whatever. But then there are times where I'm like watching the games. I got Red Zone going, so yeah, fantasy football is definitely fun. I feel like if you're gonna watch a sport, why not kind of attach something to it? I think that's kind of like
it makes it more interesting.
Yeah, 100%. And especially if you want to learn, like, if you want to know, like, what players play for what teams, and
Exactly.
you want to hold a conversation at work. Hey, man, just play some fantasy football.
Yeah.
So,
before I started playing fantasy football, I only knew Falcons, and it wasn't until after I started playing that I got real familiar with, pretty much the rest of the league, and it just teaches you about other teams, kind of like who's hot, who's not, the upcoming player, who's getting old. But yeah, Victor, you need to join, man. There's nothing like waking up Sunday, whether it's at 8 in the morning or 10 in the morning, and you're like, oh man, in a few hours it's kickoff. Do I need to bench this guy? Do I need to have him pick up off the waivers? Like Edgar knows, it's every Sunday morning. There's no other feeling, bro. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love the NFL, so I can't wait.
It gets really nerve-wracking when it's like 12:55 p.m. I mean, Eastern time, 1 o'clock is always for us the kickoff times, and then you're just like, that last decision, I'm like, oh man, that. And, whatever that decision is, whether it's a receiver or if your team is so stacked, you want to make sure you're putting the right player up. And now it's fun, man. It's exciting. But, I tend, like a lot of people, when it comes to drafting, that's the most fun part because, everyone, gets online or whatnot. There's a lot of people, some people do draft parties. Now that we have, the Wham Sports Life platform, kind of thinking probably could go live or something. Everybody just jumps in and we're like drafting live, and like it could be like a crazy thing. I think it would be cool to maybe do like a WAN Sports Live League. If like some people aren't, down to do all that, maybe, from the community, we can create a league or something. So we'll see what we can do in the future with this platform. I think it would be fun. But when it comes to fantasy sports, this leads me to the basketball side. I know you're a Hawks fan, but just want to stick on fantasy before we leave. We also play fantasy basketball. So
Oh my God.
like, what is this?
What is going on?
But Mr. Johan here is pretty much a master when it comes to fantasy basketball. And, look, Johan, if you can just give the people some tips and tricks for anyone who does play fantasy basketball. We play points league. There's like 3 types of fantasy basketball leagues. There's like categories. I think there's one called like Rotor. It's like, it starts with an R. I don't even know. I don't even touch it. And then we have points. But I like points because I feel like it just makes sense. Like, you get points for steals, you get points for blocks. I feel like it's the most authentic game. I'm in a category league. I'm like sitting in 6th, and they're doing like top 4, and it's just a little difficult. So, Johan, for points leagues, or anyone that does play in that format, I mean, what's the secret? I mean, you don't have to expose it because, I'm playing against you. So, I mean, I get it, But, like, is there anything, if you had to sell playing fantasy basketball, how would you sell that? You already told us about football. What makes your heart beat when it comes to the XBA, aka that's our league, but fantasy basketball?
I mean, the way I see it, if you're already into the sport, you're gonna love it. It's hard to get into fantasy, whether it's basketball, football, if you're not into the sport. It's too hard to get into it. So as long as you're somewhat familiar with it, you could get into it. But if you're already watching it on a daily basis or weekly basis, I mean, you just have to give it a try. And I know you're gonna, look forward to it.
And do it with friends. That's the whole point. You gotta do it with like people you know or family.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole point. I mean, community.
Yeah, the first season I ever played it, I actually played, just joined ESPN and just randomly with random strangers, and I went all the way, but it didn't feel like a victory because I didn't know anybody. I'm like, okay, now what? But, ever since we created our league, is actually like how you said it yourself, you're with friends or with family. Every week you're playing someone that you pretty much know. And you could wake up and text this guy and be like, hey, man, like, just talk some trash. Or if it's a close game or a blowout, you could, either receive talking trash or you could give it out. But with fantasy basketball, it's it could go either way, man. I feel like for the first few weeks I was undefeated, and I kind of started going through some injury problems. Had a couple players land on the IR. Anthony Davis, to name one of them. He's on the IR every year. I don't know why I drafted him, but he's been coming in clutch recently. But it's just one of those things. Like I said, man, as long as you're into the game, it's easy to get into it. Right now, we are actually in the last week of the last season. Of the season. Next week, starting Monday, is the first week of the playoffs. So, Edgar, I hope you're ready. I don't know who I'm playing yet. I hate to say it, but it's looking like I'm gonna have the number 2 seed. I was looking for the number 1 seed, but my boy Hubert, shout out to Hubert, he's got the number 1 seed locked down. But yeah, I'll be a number 2. I don't care if I'm at number 8, as long as you're in the playoffs, you're in there, you have a chance for the money, But I'm playing Panda this week, and it's pretty close right now. But next week is the playoffs, and it's a 3-week format. You start with what is it, Edgar? With 8, and then to 4.
Yeah, it's quarterfinals. Yeah, 8 teams, 4 teams, and then 2 teams.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
So it's a 3-week format. Like I said, I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm just hoping my players show out, because I would hate for my players to give me the record that I have just for them to just let me down the first week of the playoffs. I would hate to go down like that. But yep. What do you think, Edgar? How are you feeling?
Well, I mean, I know nobody really cares, right? Because they're not in our league. But I gotta say that I'm in 6th place right now. I would be facing or Lara, the new member of the league. But if Wally loses, then I would probably land in 5th. Therefore, I'd probably play Alex.
Ooh.
But either or, I mean, everyone's got a solid squad, so it can go either way.
Yeah, it's definitely a balanced league, Edgar. It's been growing. Every year it gets better and better. Shout out to Lala, the newcomer. This guy just, dude, I didn't expect him to play the way he plays. This guy came in and just, he definitely gave some competition for the whole league.
Victor, that could be you, man. That could be you next season when you join fantasy basketball. But we'll start you slow, man. You start at football. All right.
A lot of things I have to join.
Yeah. Don't worry, baby steps. We'll get you in there, man. So let's talk Atlanta Hawks, man. That's of course, we're going down the list here. And, Trae Young. What do you feel about Trae Young, current situation? We got the new coach. This is Trae Young's team, right? I mean, this man has to stay. I don't want him to go anywhere. A lot of people say, oh, no, let's trade for... But I feel like we've built something so nice. I like the squad. That's just me. How do you feel about the squad?
We have the potential to go all the way, but I don't know what it is with the squad, man, that they're just not clicking like they should. They might get you 2-3 wins in a row, but then they'll turn around and just win 3. Lose 3 in a row as well. They have a solid squad. I mean, they signed DeJounte Murray. He was like the signing of the summer. Him in the backcourt with Trae. We had DeAndre Hunter, elite defender. We still have JC, Capella at the center. I mean, our second unit is pretty solid from, Okongwu, Big O. You got Bogey. We signed the Holiday brothers, although we let one of them go recently. We have a solid squad, man. We have AJ Griffin, the rookie. He's been doing it up. Recently in the trade deadline, we even got what's the name, small forward from the Detroit Pistons, Sadiq Bey. He's a very solid player, bro. So we added depth to our squad. I just don't know what's going on. We recently switched coaches, so I'm hoping that he could turn them around, because the way it's going now, we're going to be in the play-in format, and I don't want that. I want to be in the playoffs. I want the team to have a rest week before the playoffs even start. I hate ending in that 6 through 10 spot, because you have to play to even enter the playoffs, and I don't know. I just feel like that's a lot of pressure to even start. So it's kind of hard to make it all the way to the NBA Finals when you have to play for that a month before. You need some rest. It's an 82 game season. You need a little bit of rest before the playoffs start. So if we don't fix that now, honestly, it's not looking too good for us.
Yeah, the Hawks have been doing the play-in life the last 2 seasons, so it's pretty frustrating. What's your favorite Atlanta Hawks memory, man? Favorite Atlanta Hawks memory?
Yeah, honestly, I have 2. Watching them, I would say I actually attended a game a few years ago. This was before Trae Young. This was back when we had Jeff Teague still at the point guard. So, some people remember him, some people don't.
Sorry.
We were playing Houston, and we had Josh Smith. He was a famous Atlanta Hawks player. He ended up going to Houston Rockets. At halftime, we were down by 20, and I remember at the end of the second quarter, he gives the crowd like and everyone goes crazy. Everyone's like, bro, you were a Hawks player for like 10 years. What are you doing? And believe it or not, the Hawks come back and rally from 20 points down. And, bro, it was the best Hawks game I've ever been to. It was a regular season game, so it didn't really matter much. But just the fact that what Josh Smith did to the crowd and us coming back from that, I was like, wow, the crowd was so electric, man. It was probably the best game I've ever attended. My next memory, just because it's really hard to put this one down, I actually went to an away game in Denver with my one of my best friends, Panda. Shout out to Panda,
aka Victor.
A.K.A. Victor Lopez, government name. But yeah, we went to the Denver. This was before Jokic got there, so the tickets were super cheap because they weren't that great. And we probably paid like $60 for each ticket, and we were like 5th, 6th row from the court. And yeah, the Hawks just played one of those games, man, where they were just back and forth, back and forth. Denver had the last shot of the game. They missed it, so we ended up getting the rebound. We won the game. But just being in Denver as an away fan was my first time ever being anywhere as an away fan, especially rooting for Atlanta. And coming out with the dub, I mean, it felt great. We literally just go across the street to like the nearest pub. We just started celebrating. We met up with some like Hawks fans, and it was just one of the best memories I could recall as being a Hawks fan specifically.
Dude, I'm just getting butterflies thinking about it, because I feel like when you go to support a team somewhere outside of your city, I don't know, you feel the sense of pride. You're wearing the jersey, and you feel like people looking at you like, yo, look at this guy. Like, who does he think he is? But it's dope. I'm going to Charlotte this weekend, so I'm just thinking about like the energy I'm gonna be feeling. And Victor has felt the same way, right? You came to Atlanta, either America when we play Atlanta United or Charlotte. And me even thinking more far out, I remember I attended an Atlas Toluca match, Liga MX, in el Estadio Jalisco, and I was rocking the Toluca jersey. And I remember we scored the first goal, and I was like, and my dad was like, panicking, like, "Yo, calm down, man. I want somebody like to beat you up or something, because we're in Mexico, so people be thinking." And but nah, Atlas ended up tying, and then I just like all the Atlas fans were just like, "Toma, cabrón!" Like, it was good fun. It was good fun. But I think that's so awesome, man. Like the fact that you went to that match, and we're definitely gonna be doing plenty of those in the future. To rep the team and see who else is out there. But
yeah, the best, dude. And I hate to cut you off, but the best part was that this was actually a road trip. We drove to Denver, so we planned that whole trip around that game, and yeah, it just worked out perfect, man. Like I said, came out with the dub. I would hate to drive 22 hours and then lose, but we got there, and the day we got there was the game. So we got there, it was probably like 2 p.m. Tip off was like at 7 or 8, so. Go to the hotel room. It's like 10 degrees outside. I'm like, what is this? I'm not used to this in Atlanta. And we just hit the stadium a little bit early. I had my Dominique Wilkins jersey on, and I remember as soon as we go into the stadium and we go to the lower section, this was still during warm-ups. This random guy was like, "Hey man, I like your jersey," and I was like, "Appreciate it." He was like, "Look over there," and I was like, kind of lost. And he's like, "No, look over there in the far corner." And it's Dominique Wilkins himself. He's doing the whole pregame show. And I'm probably like 30 feet from Dominique Wilkins as I'm rocking his jersey. I'm like starstruck. I've never seen him in Atlanta. So the fact that I go to Denver and I see him over there, I'm like, wow. And Dominique Wilkins, he's a legend, bro. He's top 3 greatest Hawks ever, slam dunk champion. I mean, yeah, it was a super great trip, super great memory.
That reminds me of when I went to the Velvet Room. That doesn't exist anymore, but it was a nightclub venue by Chamblee Tucker Road over there by Spaghetti Junction. And I remember I happened to be in the VIP, man, and Drake was there, Wale. Trying to remember who else was. Meek Mill and all his goons, and it was pretty crazy. I'm like, yo, I'm El Mexicano aquí nomás is here with the top hip hop artists at the time. This was like 2011, like during the Take Care days. So I think that's kind of dope when you see you're able to be in the presence of professionals in their craft, right? Victor, is there a moment that you remember, kind of seeing someone you knew, whether it be, and I know you've been experiencing lately with Charlotte. You're in that world and you're pretty much in there. I know you've met a lot, but I don't know if you recall anything lately or in the past, a little bit of both.
Probably lately. Well, it was last season when I saw Alexis, Lalas when they were doing the whole inaugural match. They were right there. Taylor, Twellman, like that. All those guys were right there. I was like, wow. Like, I don't like Alexis Lalas, but it was kind of cool. Like, oh, look at this guy. Look at this guy. Trap soccer right there. I was so close, but he wouldn't turn around. But he was right there, so that was kind of cool.
No, and that's what's up, Victor. I'm happy for you. And don't get me wrong, I would have been like that the same way, but Alexis Lalas, he has talked so much trash
Yeah,
about Mexico, bro.
yeah. Too much.
I probably would have threw like a Corona at him. Nah, I'm just playing.
Believe me, wanted to, but
Yeah, it'll be a plus to it. So let's talk about NBA predictions, man. Now that I got you here, definitely want to have you in the future. But who do you see in the NBA Finals? You could tell us what you want, what you would like, and then what you think is going to happen. So what your heart says, and then what your mind says.
My heart, what I would love to see would obviously be the Hawks. I don't care what happens. We have the squad to go far. They just have to click. With this new coach, I'm hoping everything works out. He could make it happen. But I would love to see the Hawks versus the Suns. Because if you guys can recall a few years ago, I believe it was 2020 versus Milwaukee Bucks, we were in the Eastern Conference Finals. We were literally right there. We were, 2-3 games away from the finals. And that final would have been versus Phoenix Suns. And with the team that we had, I believe we had the team to beat Phoenix. Now they have Kevin Durant, so that changes everything. But I would love to see Atlanta make it all the way and play against Phoenix Suns, because at the moment in the West Coast, I feel that is like the team now. Chris Paul, Devin Booker, they have DeAndre Ayton, but now they added Kevin Durant. That changes everything. He's always a game changer. But, I would love to see the Hawks just make it that far, and I would love to see them versus the best team. That way there's no excuse whenever they do win the championship, because I hate that excuse like, oh, yeah, well, this team, you got a sorry team, or this team has injuries. Nah, man, I want to face the best team with no injuries. That way there's no excuse. That's what my heart wants. But being realistic, I would say I still would have to say Phoenix on the West Coast, and then the East, it would be between Cleveland and Boston, man. Cleveland, surprisingly, they are very, very good right now. Boston, they're in it every year. But it would be between one of those two Eastern Conference teams. I can't really say, but that's my prediction at least.
Anybody from the West that's grabbing your attention right now? A couple weeks before playoffs?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know if you guys saw, but Phoenix versus Dallas this past week was very entertaining. Luka Doncic was in Devin Booker's face, or should I say they were in each other's face. And, I love that, man. That's the type of rivalry that just, it makes the game really, really fun.
Last season.
I would love to see Dallas versus Phoenix in the Western Conference Finals, just because it would bring that back up, and every game would be super lit. Again, Luka Doncic, most people don't know, he was originally drafted by the Hawks. We traded him for Trae Young and another first-round draft pick. So people are always on that. We should have kept Luka Doncic. So what would happen if we would have kept them? Where would we be right now? So who knows, man? I don't like to really think about that, because in reality, we don't have him. So why even think about that? Mm-hmm. But yeah, I would love to see Dallas versus Phoenix Suns in the Western Conference Finals for that reason.
So either or one of those, I think, as long as there's good matchups. I mean, at this point, right? I mean, me personally, who wouldn't want? I would love the Hawks to go all the way. I think how we got so close, right, that season. I remember I went to your spot. We caught that match. It was a vibe, man. We were like, we were having watch parties back and forth. I remember we beat the Sixers in the second round, and I jumped on my couch, and I was like, not in my house. It was crazy. I remember that moment. It was incredible.
You also remember we started off the playoffs playing the Knicks, and Trae Young hits a game-winning floater in New York, and then he takes the bow.
Bro, that's all the New Yorkers hate Trae Young and hate Atlanta. I love it. It's like it started a new rivalry, man. Just because of that, and that's why I love playoffs, because all the celebrities are there. And I remember that game, Trae Young just doing his thing, and that's when he became a superstar. I remember waking up every morning just YouTubing everything I could find about the game before. When it comes to playoffs, man, it's just a different aura. But the fact that we were in the Eastern Conference Finals and had that freaking referee not stepped on Trae Young's foot, man, we would have made it to the finals and possibly even won, man. There's no doubt, man. We were on a Cinderella run, as they call it. It's That's not mucho. It pisses me off.
It's funny because I actually forgot that that's what had happened. I was we're trying to remember what happened to Trae Young, but that's right, he did get injured, and it was because he got stepped on.
Yeah, he just got stepped on. Referees stepped back. He was like, Trae Young just sitting there, like, waiting for the ball, and, like, just, like, he was about to throw it in, and, like, referee just steps on the guy. Steps on Trae Young. And so dumb. So dumb. Like, what? Like, cosas de la vida. But, yeah, to conclude, I mean, look, I'm going to go with, yeah, I see what you're seeing. I mean, Mavericks are Suns, but I think in, like, the Bucks, sometimes, I mean, they're first place right now. And then think about the Kings. Like, who would have thought the Kings are in second place in the standings in the West?
Wait, Sacramento Kings?
Yeah, Sacramento Kings are literally second place in the West right now.
Well, my boy Kevin Herter left the Hawks. Now he's second in the West.
Dude, exactly. What's that?
Man, Red Velvet, bro. I miss him. This guy, you know who he reminds me of? He was like Kyle Korver reborn in the Hawks.
Right. Yep.
Remember, Korver was a three machine, and then Kevin Herter comes up and we drafted him, bro. I saw him getting drafted, and this guy came in clutch. I did not know that the Kings were second.
Kings are second. It's a crazy world we live in right now. But
wow.
Yeah, I mean, Phoenix Suns. I think it's gonna be Phoenix Suns, Milwaukee Bucks Part 2. I mean, not a lot of people want to see that. I mean, at least people are kind of leaning want to see Celtics. They I know the Cavs is a cool story. It'd be cool to have Suns, Hawks, like you said, but I'm gonna lean Suns, Milwaukee Bucks. We gotta finish off the two sports, man, that you follow, which is Braves and Atlanta United, which will lead us into MLS. But Atlanta Braves, man, real quick. I mean, right now they're in spring training, but let's talk about the World Series 2021. Can you kind of just run it down? World Series, and then the letdown of last season, and then what you hope for in 2023. Just three recaps real quick.
I got you, man. I mean, the World Series was like no other. I believe it or not, the very first pro sports moment I will ever remember was my Tío Marcial. You remember? You know him. He's the OG of the family. He's 70 years old. He's born in Mexico, but his favorite sport is baseball. And he's been a Braves fan since he's been in Acapulco. So growing up, he told me so many stories. And one day he takes me to Turner Field. And I don't know who we were playing. All I know is I was super little. I was probably like 8 years old. But, at the time I was already watching baseball because of him. And it was like a night game, like a weekend game. And I remember just taking it all in, like the Cracker Jacks, the popcorn, like the deal with the beer. Like I had like the big ass soda. And, we ended up getting the dub. But what I remember specifically was Andrew Jones. And growing up, that was my favorite baseball player. Center field, he was, electric on the defense and on the offensive side. He was a Gold Glove winner numerous times. He hits a home run, and I will never forget watching that ball just like leave the park. Especially at night, you can see like the white ball just travel through the sky, and you don't even know where it lands, but you're just like, it's a feeling you can't really explain. And and yeah, man, I remember. There you go. But yeah, bro, I remember it goes from home plate to like somewhere in outfield, and I was just like, wow. Like I was like, and just seeing the crowd react, I was like, man, I am in love. And ever since then, I just grew up watching baseball. Baseball was actually the sport I watched the most. I would say probably next to basketball growing up, but I would watch every Braves game. Every time, something would happen, my uncle would be at work, I would call him like, Tío, Chipper Jones just hit a home run. Andrew Jones hit a home run. This was back when we had Gary Sheffield, Javi Lopez. We had that Mexicano, what's the name?
Eddie Perez.
Eddie Perez, and then we had another guy, Castillo. No. He was actually with Denver with Colorado Rockies. But you're right, we had Eddie Perez, and yeah, it was just one of those feelings that will. I will forever remember it, and it will never go away. And yeah, that's what really brought me into the Braves, like the Braves lifestyle, and watching them from being a little kid. Every year we made it to the playoffs. We won the division up. I think what was it, like 13 years in a row, 14 years in a row.
Yep. And now we're on 5 years running.
Yeah, and we never made it to we did make it to the World Series actually a few times. We just kept losing to New York. But yeah, growing up, like I said, we would always make it to the playoffs, but we would never do anything. So fast forward to 2020 or 2020 or 2021?
2021.
2021. I'm sorry about that. 2020 was the year we actually got eliminated by the Dodgers in the playoffs before
the COVID postseason, MLB postseason. Yeah,
there you go. But the National League, bro. I mean, we were right there. We got eliminated. We were actually up 3-1 in the series, and they came back and won the next 3.
Real quick. So yeah, that series you're talking about, I was actually with Victor. Remember, it was Leslie's birthday. We were at the boathouse. Remember, Victor?
Yeah, I was there right with you.
So just quick side note, I remember I was going over there for Leslie's 21st
birthday.
I was super excited, bro. The whole family was there, and I experienced 3 L's in a row. So yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah,
so it's like over here trying to party. I'm like,
heartbreaking.
Best nights of my life. And yeah, please continue, sir. Continue.
No, you're fine. Honestly, I'm happy you shared that because it's good to know that Victor lived that moment with you and you weren't by yourself.
I am a Braves fan, by the way. I might not be too knowledgeable yet, but that's the only team I claim from Atlanta. So I am a Braves fan. So you guys get one. You guys get one.
I learned that recently, and I'm happy, bro, because guess what? Next time you come, you could come with your Charlotte gear all you want, but we got to go to a Braves game, and I want to see you with that Braves gear.
I love the stadium, man. Is it still called Truist Park over there?
Yeah, have you been to Truist Park?
Yeah, I went with Edgar, what was it, 2019 when I went over there? We went to a game?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was sensational. It looks like a little city. You would never know that there's a stadium right in the middle. I loved it. I bought a hat, got the, like you were talking about with your uncle back then, the snacks, the hot dog, the drink, the everything. The King of Pops, I think I got like a little ice popper. I was so excited. It was great.
Yeah, dude. Well, next time you come to Atlanta, bro, we all have to take a trip together. We just have to plan it accordingly. I just found out today through my job that they rented the Hank Aaron Terrace in July for a game. So I'm very excited. The season hasn't even started, but I at least know for one game I will be there. And it's one of those kind of like a private like situation. Like we're going to be up there in the corner, but hey, I'm in there.
Hey, that's amazing. All right, so 2021 World Series. Keep it.
Yeah. So 2021, man, it was it was a bumpy road, but we finally get through the Dodgers. Who was it? We went through Florida, Miami Marlins. We go through.
So so that was 2020. So you.
No. Was it 2020?
2020 is when we beat the Reds, beat the Marlins, and then we lost to the Dodgers. And
so in 2021, who did we open up with?
So
Cincinnati, right?
No, so we went against the Brewers, Milwaukee Brewers, in the first round.
Oh wow, yeah. Okay, I'm confusing it.
Yeah, you're good. So, and don't worry, I'm gonna edit it, so I got you, bro. You'll be fine. So,
no, you're fine.
We played against the Brewers in the first round, where we lose the first game. And we were having a lot of base running issues. I remember how Soler in the second game we win 3-0. And remember Jock Peterson made he hit a home run. I don't
he got famous with the
Pearls. Exactly. So we beat the Brewers because remember that Freddie Freeman hits that home run off of that closer who's in San Diego now. But what was his name? He's the
guy with the long hair?
Yeah. Let's see. Closers.
I forgot his name, but he is a beast. Once you pull him...
Hader. Josh Hader.
Yep, Hader. There you go. He had the shoulder length, hairstyle.
Exactly. So Freddie Freeman hits the home run to finish. So we win. We end up advancing because it's the best of 5. So as long as you win 3, you were in.
Mm-hmm.
So we cleared the series 3-1, and then that's when we had to play the Dodgers, and we beat the We go up 2-0 on the Dodgers. I think we went up 3-0, and then they win another game is 3-1, and then we have to come back over here. They win another one 3-2, but then over here we finish them off in the first game. And then that's how we get to the World Series against the Houston Astros.
Oh,
so,
man.
Do you remember just like that experience of being in the World Series? And we had a watch party here. I remember that very clearly because it was very fuzzy.
So of course, yeah.
It was a lit night.
I mean, the moment we got to the World Series, bro, the whole city was just fuzzy. I don't care where you were at, who you were with, someone, it was just a fuzzy moment for the whole city. But yeah, versus Houston, especially being Houston because they were that powerhouse. They were always there. And, again, I don't want to take too long, but I just remember the last game specifically when Soler just leads off like in the early innings with that blast, bro. And it's one of those swings that will forever be engraved in my memory because, I mean, that swing was just perfect from the minute he swung that bat. I mean, bro, that ball, I mean, there's rumors out there that ball hasn't even landed yet. It went that high. Like, I know some guy out there just walking his kid to his car because he left early. He caught that ball. Like, but yeah, man, ever since he hit that and we were in the lead, we were 3 games up. I mean, man, it was just unbelievable. And when we finally finished it off, I will never forget it. It was a ground ball. I believe Swanson throws it to Freddie at first. Dude pockets it, puts it in his back pocket. And from there on, everybody just, yes, I need that. But yeah, man, I mean, like I said, it all started with my uncle taking me to my Braves game, to my first ever Braves game as a little kid and just falling in love with it. And watching year after year, we would make it to the playoffs, but, we wouldn't do anything. And we kept getting closer. Chipper Jones finally retires. We had to look for a third baseman. That was a freaking mission. Finally, we come across Austin Riley. He steps up. I mean, this guy is beautiful, man. Like, this guy could hit. He has an arm on him. We finally starting having the pieces. We get Acuna. We get my boy Ozzy at second. Dansby gets traded from Arizona. We had catcher issues for the longest. We come across my boy Darno. He came in clutch. I mean, we just slowly started putting the pieces together. There you go.
Literally.
You go. Darno. Yeah, man, we had Freddie Freeman, which, I mean, he's been a long life Braves until he left to the Dodgers. So slowly we started putting the pieces together, man. And eventually it all paid off. It all clicked at the right moment. And we just happened to beat the Dodgers, which they always whip our ass. But guess what? We came back on them. And then we went through Houston. I mean, nobody expected that, but we did. And again, the rest is history. Now you fast forward to 2022. We were really, really close. I'm actually kind of disappointed how we felt to Philadelphia. They were our division rivals, always will be. I feel like we had the better squad, but the team didn't just perform they didn't perform in the playoffs. And
not at all.
I feel like it's kind of like a learning experience. I feel like they were on their high horse. They were defending champions. They just thought they could just show up and just win. But no, that's not the case. You still have to play like you're down every freaking game, man. And yeah, unfortunately we got eliminated by Philadelphia. But with Matt Olson catching fire in spring training, Acuna wasn't who he was this past year, but I do have faith that this year he's going to be the NL MVP. We don't have Swanson anymore, but thankfully we have a good farm system. So we got my boy Grissom. I hope he's the one that steps on better. Yep, we got my boy Michael Harris at center field. This guy's the next Andrew Jones. I'm telling you, this guy is, to me, top 3 outfielders in the league. He's very underrated. He's gonna win his goal. He's gonna win a Gold Glove this upcoming season. But I have very high expectations for this Braves baseball team. I expect us to win the division. I expect us to win the NL pennant, and I definitely expect us to compete in the World Series. I don't care if we lose, but I expect us to take it to Game 7 at the very minimum.
No, yeah, we have full squad. They're having a full spring training. Everyone's together. Everyone's actually doing the full trip together. No one's showing up mid-season, and everyone is pretty much healthy. Just waiting on Soroka. I'm excited. So the last sport, which this really leads us into what's coming up this weekend, Atlanta United. I think it's changed our lives, especially, you and I, Johan, having, our own soccer team here in our backyard over the last 7 years. And then Victor, obviously, that before Charlotte came about, you were definitely supporting the movement. You were excited. You didn't know Charlotte was going to have a team, but the moment Charlotte had a team, you bought those season tickets. We talked about that in the podcast. You were all the way in. Tell me, man, just kind of your experience with Atlanta United, the moment that you. And by the way, for anyone who's watching the YouTube channel, the first video of this channel is the logo unveiling of Atlanta United, and my good friend Johan actually helped me that day to film some clips. I remember you had a Snyder jersey for Real Madrid that day. I remember you were rocking the scarf. So
he has a family member scarf right there, right? Right behind you, under the brace.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not the founding member, Victor, because I actually signed up after that event. So it's 90% the same scarf. I wish I would have signed up before, because to me, in my eyes, that is the best scarf they've ever released. The simple black and red with the dates. I mean, you can't beat that. That to me is historic. But yeah, it's very similar. But like I said, I signed up after that event. Thankfully, I signed up just in time for the first, before the first game. So I am a day one season ticket holder, but not a day one like Edgar. Just got signed up from the minute they even announced it.
Founding member.
There you go.
No, hey, but don't worry, man. We're family, so
of course,
brother. But yeah, I mean, if you're a season ticket holder, you're putting money towards the club. But Joe, tell me, man, Atlanta United, it's been a game changer, bro. I don't know, how do you feel about it? The whole vibe and what they brought to the city.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to describe the club because you could use so many words and so many terms, but just to keep it simple, it definitely, it's in the name. It united the city together. You go to the game, you have people of all walks of life, all different races, different languages being spoken at once. If you show up early enough and you go to the tailgates, you just have everyone just mixing together. I don't care what you believe in, how the color of your skin, how tall, how short, it doesn't matter, man. Everyone there's a family, and everyone treats each other like family. And from the minute they got there, bro, the buzz was pretty loud. Like how you said, we went to the unveiling where they released the logo, the name of the club, and it was fun, bro. It was everyone calling Arthur Uncle Arthur. That's the first time I ever heard that happen. It was at that event. And yeah, man, ever since then, bro, it's again, the South has always been a football region, which, Falcons and Georgia Bulldogs will always be the top sport. I feel like the Atlanta Braves is a close second. But again, the Hawks they're supported, but not as much as those two clubs. But United, bro, they came out of nowhere, and they just kind of took over to the point where, I've had coworkers, friends, just random people that they tell me they're just, they'll be like, I'm not even into soccer, man, but I went to that soccer game, and it's the funnest experience I've ever had. They're like, it's better than Braves games and Falcons games and Hawks games. They're just like the energy, just the experience overall. And again, it's a soccer thing, but it's also of the city that's behind it, because you can have soccer anywhere, but it's not always going to be the same experience. And it's something about the Atlanta that background, the lifestyle that just it just comes with it, man. Like if you're at a tailgate, you're at a game, you're going to have a good time regardless, unless you hate soccer. But yeah, man, we're just blessed, bro. Like I said, one of the main reasons I go for Real Madrid is because when I started, really going into soccer and really just watching it, we didn't have our own team at the time. So I feel like I didn't really have nobody to lean on. So it was just kind of that first team that really just caught me, just that pulled me in. It could have been any team, to be honest with you. But I've always been one of those where, like, look, man, I'm from here. This is what I'm going to rep. I don't care how bad we are, how good we are. And, you know, when the word came out that we were getting a soccer team, which actually that word came out in 2014, 3 years before the unveiling. I mean, those 3 years were the longest 3 years of my life because it took me 3 years just to even realize what the team name was going to be, the colors, the logo. And again, we get there, we see it, and it was like, wow, we're one step closer. And then we finally get our team. We started picking up players one by one. They announced we're going to Bobby Dodd because the Benz wasn't ready, unfortunately. But that to me was a blessing in disguise because the games at Bobby Dodd, man, I mean, wow. Anyone that went to Bobby Dodd will tell you. I mean,
that's pretty epic.
Now he having some flashbacks.
Dude, my wife. Sorry, I gotta say this. Like the first game at Bobby Dodd Stadium, like the first game of Atlanta United. I mean, literally took my wife, and she was like pregnant, like with our first kid. Like literally, yeah. Like 4th row. I was like, yo, this is historic. Like we have to go. And
yeah, you can't really see it right now, but I have a banner up here. That banner is actually the banner they gave out at the first game. So on that banner it says Atlanta United versus New York Red Bulls, and I think it's like March 4th, 2017. And it's one of those banners that, to me, out of all my sports pieces, that's one of my top 3 because, again, it's from the very first game that we ever played, you know? So,
yeah. No, that first season, right? It's like you think about that first season, and it's like it brings those memories that you can't really explain it, but it's there, right? It was something very unique to experience that, and then
yeah. And I don't know if you remember, but when the Benz was finally ready, they actually had a walkthrough for all the season ticket members, and you know, we kind of had like the early. It was actually a practice for Atlanta United, but they let everybody in, you know, and you would just kind of just go to your seat that you were going to sit. But it was kind of like friendly. So, you know, you could kind of move around a little bit. But it was just, I will never forget the first time I stepped into the Benz and the AC hits you. You're like, it could be 100 degrees outside, but the minute you step in, you're like, oh my God, it feels like
super nice in there.
And once I got to my seat, I remember looking up at the design of the roof, and I was like, wow, man, they did it. Like, they killed it. And it's not just because I'm from Atlanta, but I feel like the Benz specifically, to me, it's probably top 2 stadiums in the whole world. Just the design itself, how the roof could open up and close, and just the overall infrastructure from the inside out. I mean, it's such a beautiful stadium to me.
Incredible. And Victor will be going to that stadium May 11th, I believe. It's a Saturday.
Yeah.
30.
Either one. Yeah.
I got my tickets ready.
I'll never forget the first time I stepped in there. Oh. It was against Chicago Fire. Remember that?
Tell us.
Yeah. It was 2019, I believe, season, and I had the peach kit on. It was great. Full Atlanta. It was amazing. I was so hyped. We got on the MARTA, remember? And just seeing all the people in the train, I'm like, whoa, okay, wow. Like it was awesome seeing all that. And Edgar has a picture somewhere. I don't know if you can find it. When I step in, it was just that magical, like, oh, what is this? It was incredible. And as soon as we walk in, we get a double shot of Jameson, I believe. And the drinks kept flying. I had the Terrapins for the first time, and I don't know what an IPA was.
So I want to say something. The Jameson shot was something I learned from Johan. Just want to put
okay. But I was like, well, okay, I guess we're doing it like this. And a lot of Terrapins later, we won the match. Joseph scored twice, I believe. So I was already hyped for that. And I think it ended with we were at the MARTA, right? I was like literally on the floor, basically. We might have to find that clip somewhere.
You were sitting on the floor.
I was sitting, but I had the Lil Wayne glasses, just a dark shades. I was, yeah, but I had the time of my life. I was hooked. I was hooked.
Man, well, honestly, Victor, I'm happy that you had that experience, especially with Edgar, because
Oh yeah,
it's always a great time with Edgar, man. And I don't know if he told you, he blessed me with this, with the seat next to him this past week. We had a 1-1 draw, but nothing will compare to those seats, man. Just being fourth row from the center of the field and just watching everything, it's amazing, man. Again, anytime I could be in the 300 section with Edgar, we always have a good time. But like I said, those season tickets that he has, and he's had them since day one, they are legendary.
oh yeah.
I mean, I hear you have the front row seats in Charlotte, bro. So
I do have the front row seats in Charlotte. Yeah,
maybe next year I'm gonna plan something. So
yeah, please. Yeah, we would love to have you aboard.
I don't know. We might have to buy your neighbors out there for that one game, but
Yeah. I got it. I got 5 seats right there. So just let me know and we'll reserve it. They will not.
there you
Johan's coming next season, folks.
2023,
Get the bank.
2024. I'm there.
Get the bank. Yes,
And
love to have you.
and we
It's a party. That's Edgar. We get lit. Y'all get lit, but so do we.
no, I believe it. Hey, I believe it. Trust me. And I need I want to see my boy Vic on that double Jameson. Okay.
Oh, all right. I'll do it.
But I'm gonna tell you right now, Victor. You know how you said it's gonna filter out certain fans, but dude, you're a real one. You are, a day one. So I know you're gonna be there regardless of who.
Yeah, no matter what.
Who's in the lineup. So, and it's gonna get to the point where eventually we're gonna start seeing some. Well, I feel like more common European names coming to MLS. I know it's happening slowly, but I feel like it's gonna be to the point where Atlanta's gonna have one, Charlotte's gonna have one, Miami, New York. I mean, LAFC, they kind of got greedy. They had Gareth Bale and Chiellini. I'm like, what is going on? Like, how can they have 2 players and then we're here with none? Like, I don't get it.
Exactly. And I heard Luis Suarez might come to LA Galaxy, folks. So I don't know. Or LAFC. That's what they're saying.
I mean, he's putting up big numbers in Brazil right now.
Mm-hmm. Imagínate. And Tepper with all that cash, he can't splash for something. Give me something.
I want to see
Lewandowski.
I want to see
the Poland connection, man.
Miami, bro.
Messi to Miami would put the league at the top. Probably most watched on the planet. That would be sensational. It has to happen. He's done with PSG, folks. Yeah. They're not gonna win the Champions League. I'm sorry. They're not gonna win.
It's over. I mean, they're eliminated.
Yeah, What more? He needs to come over here. Just come back. Go back to Barca maybe a season. Come back to MLS.
I don't know. I think he might go to Bayern Munich for a season.
Ooh.
Nah.
Don't tell
why? I mean, he owns a home in Miami. I mean, look, I don't care if. I mean, I know he's not gonna play for Atlanta, but bro, I know that if he, like you said, I mean, he comes over here. I mean, we're gonna be watched by everyone, and it's gonna be fun. I hope it happens, man. I think that would be incredible. And look, I mean, I've never seen Messi live, so please, like, I don't care if he's like a little bit older, but just to see him, like, yo, this is a World Cup champion, like, he's right there, would be phenomenal. I don't care how much the tickets are going for. I will not sell my seats. I would not sell my seats.
Every stadium in MLS would sell out. Every stadium would be packed.
So speaking of first goals for clubs, this is just a trivia question. Do you remember who scored the first goal for Atlanta United versus the Red Bulls?
Yamil Asad, papa. I remember it was Mears. I forgot his first name.
Tyrone Mears. He was our right back.
He's like first right back ever. Tata Martino coaching. Yeah, I remember he hits that center, and Yamil Asad just slides right in and kicks it in, and it was great. It was amazing. I actually do have the video's actually on my Twitter. I gotta go hunt that down.
This is random, but that first season at Bobby Dodd, there was I don't know what game it was, and I was I happened to be at the spot where the bus gets off and the players walk into the stadium, and all the fans were all going for Joseph and for Miggy, and I remember Tyrone Mears walks by and he signed the spike, and after he keeps walking, no one paid attention to him, and I was there just pretty much just watching, bro, and I was like, yo, Mears. I was like, sign my jersey, please. And this guy takes like 5 steps and he turns around and looks at me. And then, he pretty much like pulls out the Sharpie and just like signs my jersey. And then I was like, yo, Mears, you're a legend. You get the first assist in Atlanta history. And then he just gives me like the head, like
that's right.
gives me the that's what's up. And then he just keeps moving.
That's so epic.
I think he's British, by the way.
Amazing.
Yeah, so it was just one of those random stories I'll never forget.
Dude, thank you for sharing that, man. That's true, man. I completely forgot about that. Mears did give the first ever assist in Atlanta United history.
It was actually a beautiful cross.
No, it was gorgeous, and I was thinking to myself,
it snuck past everybody, man. And I mean, that's not how you said it yourself. He just happened to be in the back. He just had to slide a little bit, stick out his foot, and just make some contact with the ball.
Right?
Yeah, I gotta say something about Charlotte, bro. Honestly, I give you guys props because the numbers you guys put up week in and week out. I mean, bro, those are Atlanta numbers, and I hate to say it like that, and I'm saying that because those numbers weren't even a possibility until the Benz was built, and then they started breaking records left and right. I think, what was it, like that first, after 2 seasons, I think Atlanta owned 7 records out of the top 10 of highest attendance. And, you would look up the highest attendance records, and it would just be like Atlanta. And it would be like maybe 2-3 teams in there. But now you see Charlotte in there every week, and I'm just like, damn, bro. Like, I give mad props to the city of Charlotte because you guys are there for your team. And again, it doesn't matter how you start the year, how you end it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I say that because it does matter. But what I'm trying to say is that you guys are just there for your team regardless. And, if you're a season ticket holder, you can't really opt out because they're losing a few games. You're going to be there regardless, man. And, yeah, Charlotte really surprised me. I didn't expect it from a city like Charlotte. And I hate to say that, but it's kind of just walking up. I'm just like, wow, like they're really there for them. Like I feel like I would expect that from like, let's say like St. Louis. Okay, they're a new city. They're, I guess, a bigger city, or like, let's say if Pittsburgh had a squad coming in, or I don't know, Jacksonville, or just random, but you have Charlotte and people will see that as a Carolina team. There you go. Look at that. And you have Charlotte, bro, just off the top. I mean, that's very impressive, bro. And this is only the beginning. Wait till a season or 2 goes by. You're going to see a few more Charlottes in there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm very impressed with what Charlotte's doing in their city, man. They very, very have they have the recipe going, bro. And again, with all those numbers, all you guys are doing is just putting money into your owner's pocket, which hopefully he invests that into better players, better equipment, better facilities, better staffs. And that's just going to push you guys closer to the MLS title one day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Please, Sepper, if you're listening, please invest. Please, come on. It's a no-brainer if you bring a player like Lewandowski or one of those big name players, you'll get the investment back with the jersey sales, with the hype. Like, I don't know why they won't do it, but I'm hoping in the summer.
Jersey sales alone.
Imagine Lewandowski. We have Swiderski. I mean, they played in the World Cup together. I mean, the Polish connection. That's what we all want over here. Lewandowski, please come to Charlotte.
Please.
Someone big. We need a superstar, and that'll take us to the top.
I want to see him.
I mean, hey, Swiderski is his friend, so we'll see.
Bro, he will give you a hat trick first day in Charlotte. I guarantee it.
That'd be sensational.
Well, there you have it, folks. I think this was a great conversation. First of all, I think, Johan, maybe starting next season, this could be a new tradition where, you come out with us to Charlotte and enjoy the match. But, Johan, thank you so much for being on the pod, man, taking your time out to share this with us. And, glad to just be able to have this video on the internet forever. Something we can look back on and years from now. And just remember this epic conversation, and just excited for what's to come, really.
Of course, man. Thank you guys for having me. Man, I had such a blast. When Edgar first told me about this, I was like slick nervous, but I was like, you know what? I told Ashley, and she was just like, man, all you're going to do is talk about the stuff that you love with your close friends. She was like, you'll be okay after a minute or 2. And honestly, that's what happened, But yeah, man, I had tons of fun. I enjoy talking about these topics. I talk about these topics every day if I could. But yeah, man, I'm very blessed to be here with you guys. I wish you guys the best of luck. I know this will go very, very far, and I'll be more than happy to join you guys in the future.
Thank you, my friend. We would definitely love to have you as a recurring guest. So thank you.
Of course.
Joe Jeezy.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Johan.